Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a video that is a sort of, it's not a products I regret buying, because products I regret buying, you know, they're things that I've returned, things that are just absolute trash, you know. Morphe James Charles palette, Too Faced White Peach palette, Too Faced White Chocolate palette. You know, those are definitely things that I regret buying because they don't offer anything to my collection, and as of now, all three of those things have been since decluttered, banished from the realm of Soraya's makeup collection. Because if it ain't working for me, it don't deserve to be here. And so these are products that are less, it's like I said, it's not a products I regret buying, it's makeup that in hindsight, and thinking about now, I probably shouldn't have purchased for one reason or another. Now, the majority of this doesn't have to do with quality or anything like that, it's just kind of going back and doing a little psychoanalyzation, because for any of y'all who've been with me for an extended period of time are aware that I, at a certain time, probably still now, purchased too much makeup. It was something that I was buying left and right, buying everything, no matter what it was. And so looking back, it's good to take into consideration being like, you know, I was really bit by whatever kind of bug. I shouldn't have bought that. And so it's like just looking at it and being like, why did I buy that? You know, just makeup that, like I said, for one reason or another, I just shouldn't have bought. You know, it's like, what purpose does it have in my collection? What was it that compelled me to buy these things and bring it into my life, and then it's just sitting here mostly collecting dust because it ain't viable to my personal aesthetics. I don't think I'm making a lot of sense with this intro. Let's just go in onto these products and we'll talk about it. Maybe it'll make more sense as I go through the items. First of which being, I have two. I have since decluttered two others. There were four on a whole. The original Violet Voss Fun Sized palettes. Now, part of the reason I shouldn't have bought these, not necessarily because of color story. There's this one, which is all kinds of bright and whatever, and then this one is essentially their version of the Modern Renaissance. And then another one was like brown, all shimmers. Another one was just a conglomeration of all shimmer colors. But these, I can tell you I shouldn't have bought these, because this, I remember very vividly. I reviewed these. Anything I've reviewed, I will leave down below. Y'all can have a little throwback situation. But I bought these at a time where I was just justifying reviewing things as a means to purchase makeup, no matter what it was. Because if I really sat down and thought about these, I could have looked through the colors and been like, you know, separately, these aren't really necessarily something that I would use regularly, but purchasing all four was like, oh, they're so pretty and they're whatever, and I can get a review out of them. And I reviewed them pretty highly. I think the quality is good. I think for someone who's got a lower price point budget, and for someone who wants to say get a taste of the red tones or get a taste of color, yeah, this would be a good purchase. But for someone like me who literally has enough shadow to like color the whole of New York City, these were really something that I should have thought a little bit more about and been like, yeah, I really don't need those. And while I did get a review out of it, it was sort of a review that I just did because I wanted to buy something. And in all honesty, I don't use these a lot, you know? I decluttered two of them, and these ones I was like, you know, I paid for this stuff. I would like to get a certain amount of use out of them. And we will see how that goes in 2020, but even after doing the declutter, I still haven't reached for them. Then something that was definitely a case of everybody loves it, everybody buys it, I have to have it. And thinking about what they are now, looking at the colors and everything like that, you know, y'all know your girl doesn't skew neutral very often. If it's pink, it's blue, it's purple, it's yellow, it's green, it's orange, I eat that shiz up like nobody's business. But if it's taupe and brown and ecru and suede, I'm not really vibing with it. But back in the day, the Lorac Mega Pro palettes were very much a thing. I was not there for the first one. I believe that was before my makeup time, you know? And you open it up and you look look at it and you're like, okay. I mean, some of the shades, like we got tangerine, you know, purple. I've used lavender a fair amount. And then you got these shimmers. You know, we got these pretty ones. I should honestly pull this into a rotation because those shimmers would work really well for what I like to do. But on a whole, this just like thinking about this now, you know, especially think about how I'm whatevering with my makeup purchases, this is definitely something that I would not purchase because look at all these light little faint setting shades. 3 palette, 3 eyeshadows out of this hole is already a throwaway. And then we have the third one, which is probably the most viable to my taste because this is very, you know, it's very rosy, it's very mauve based. You know, if I were to declutter the other two, I would probably be okay with having this one, you know. And the shimmers are more viable. I love pomegranate. I love rust, snow, tulle, you know, pink bronze. I love these beautiful mauve ready ones right here. You know, this one had more going for it. But if you're thinking about neutrality, you know, like these palettes, Lorac is a brand that I feel has a certain very simple aesthetic. You know, I was purchasing these palettes not so much because I was like, oh yeah, neutrals F me up. It was more because I love the Lorac formula and because everyone else was buying them, everybody else loved them. I wanted to be like everybody else and I wanted to love that shiz. And then we have the fourth one, which is, they haven't come out with one of these since the fourth one, partly because I think the whole Lorac Mega Pro palettes, they didn't age well in the makeup market. And I reviewed this and I thought it was beautiful. I do love cedar. Flamingo I've used a lot. I like light sage, mahogany. Moss here is a beautiful green shimmer, which I need to use more. I love unicorn. You know, it's just one of those things that if you look at this on a whole, and if I were more discerning and I were more open-minded about what kind of makeup and eyeshadow I actually used, it's interesting thinking about how I am now that I wouldn't buy these. You know, not even for a review, because looking at the kind of shades and the colors that they offer, I knew it wouldn't be something in my collection that got a lot of use. Because back in the day, I was just like, oh boy, you get so much heckin' product, because you basically get the way that their normal pro palettes is, you get 1 row of mattes, 1 row of shimmers, you're basically getting 2 pro palettes in one for the price of what one would be. And so there was just a lot of hype and a lot of sheepism and a lot of just mob mentality, I guess, when it came to these for me. And nowadays I don't use them, even though some of the colors are really pretty, because realistically speaking, now, and even then I just wasn't as good at figuring that out. But now and then, these are not shades that I'm like, oh boy, F me up, that's amazing. And so now they just sit here because I've spent my money on them and I want to get some kind of use out of them. If anything, I'll probably end up decluttering the 4 and the 2 and keep that 3. But in hindsight, for a myriad of reasons, this is just not something that I should have spent my money on, because I definitely wouldn't spend my money on it now. And if it's a product, see, that's what I feel. Let's get a little introspective here. Looking at products, if it's something, this kind of helps me with decluttering, if it's something that Soraya of now would not purchase, what's the point? So I am going to be going into like another whatever declutter with that mentality. Like if I look at this and be like, yeah, I wouldn't pay money for this now, why am I still keeping it? Next up is something that's a little sad, not because it's a bad product or it's a product that I don't like or a product that I don't use. It's something that I shouldn't have bought in the quantity that I did, because y'all know old Soraya back in 2019, 2018, when it comes to products like highlighters and blush, for some reason, I am adverse to buying like one. I have to be like, I gotta try a myriad of shades from this. And as such, when it came to buying blush and highlighter, I would buy more than one. And when Lime Crime came out with their software blush, I know I did, they were having a sale when I bought these. But I bought like 6 of them, and these are cream blushes. Cream goes bad a lot quicker than powder. And I have reached the point that I am probably going to declutter these, not because they're bad, not because I don't enjoy them, but because with the massive amount of blush that I have in my collection, these are just not getting the attention they need and they deserve. And I'm just totally afraid of being out the money I spent on these because they're just sitting there not getting used. So, well, I probably could have gotten away with like having like 1 or maybe 2. Like I said, I believe I bought 5 or 6, and I really just shouldn't have bought that many. Because even going in on these, y'all know that I am not a huge cream or cream to powder or powder to cream, whatever formula person. I got my Natasha Denona blush palettes, and that's about it for me. So while these are a really nice formula, they're probably going to be listed on my Mercari fairly soon just because I need them to get the love that they deserve, and this is just something I shouldn't have gone so heavy in on. If I'd gotten 1 or 2, you know, we wouldn't have the situation of it being wasted money because I'm not using it and they're just sitting there. Like I said, I just shouldn't have bought so many because I'm a moron and I like buying more makeup than I actually need. Next up is a product that is definitely a case of like you should have known better, you knew what you were getting into. Y'all remember when Kat Von D released her Metal Crush highlighter palette, I just about lost my shiz because I had been waiting for her to release more highlightery-esque products for a long while now. I think I reviewed that palette. Like I said, if I've got reviews of anything, I will try to find and leave them down below. But that palette came, it went, it did its whatever. It was kind of like a little bit of a glossy, highlighty glitter situation. Basically, the Kat Von D Metal Crush formula is the poor man, not very good version of the Jeffree Star Supreme Frosts. No tea, no shade. They're just kind of a similar formula, but Jeffree Star did it right. So, you would think that when Kat Von D released her singles, I would think to myself, you know what, Soraya? You know what? You weren't the biggest fan of the palette. It wasn't a highlighter formula that you thought was the most bomb diggity. Maybe you should sit back and think about it and not buy these. Well, that's what rational Soraya of now would think. Back then it was like, oh my goodness, it's a highlighter from KVD. Buy that shiz and review it. I did, and like, well, these are okay. I shouldn't have bought it because I wasn't a huge fan of that other formula. And not only that, 2 of the shades that she released in singles were 2 shades that were in the palette. So, you know, I shouldn't have bought them because I wasn't the biggest fan of the formula. And I definitely shouldn't have bought those shades because I already had them in palette formula. But obviously this was me. This was in my desperation of trying to hold on to KVD to desperately be like, maybe this will be it. Maybe this will bring them up out of the funk. Not so much. And y'all know I have a problem when it comes to highlighter. So all those things sort of came together in making me buy these things, you know, and they're nice, they're okay. This one is Stephanic, you know, and if you like glitter and you like, you know, a top layer or whatever something, then yeah, sure, if these are showing up at like Marshalls and whatever, I think they're on sale at Sephora now, actually, you know, sure. Pay $12 for them. Don't pay like the $28 or $30 they were. These were in a makeup not worth the money, or makeup I wouldn't pay full price for, which is basically the same thing. Do not buy these full price because they're honestly not that amazing. And I should have had enough sense to say, you've experienced this formula once, you weren't a big fan, you got some of those colors, don't buy this, but at the time, not so much. Then if we're gonna talk highlighters, we might as well talk about another highlighter that I shouldn't have bought. Doesn't have nothing to do with the formula, just has to do with the fact that I'm stupid, and at a certain time in my life, I was like, yeah, I'll wear a black highlighter streaked across my face. I'm alternative. I'm edgy, which I am to a certain degree, but I'm also, when it comes to highlighter, I have learned that a highlight that actually blends into your skin tone is a lot more flattering than wearing silver streaked across your face. So, bring into the room 2 of the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighters, one in Diamond Lily, which, I mean, come on. I'm sure I saw this and was like, oh, it's a crazy alternative highlighter color at an affordable price. I need this. It's like, bish, you ain't gonna be wearing that on your face. I mean, it's not even that good to be like a bomb diggity eyeshadow. It's just, I mean, no. And then obviously we had to have the Royal Calyx, which is the purpley blue situation, which I guess hard pan is a thing. Look at that. I can't even get nothing off of that. Oh my Lord. That's a travesty. That's getting trashed. Getting decluttered. But like, I bought these, you know? And it's like, oh, they're so pretty and they're edgy and they're alternative and I need all the crazy... No. No. If you want crazy alternative, buy you the Anastasia, the Moonchild and the Aurora Glow Kit, and you are good to even get you that BH Cosmetics backlight highlighting palette for a lot less. And unless you are like, I don't know, a raver or what, don't buy this one because this one's all kinds of hard pad and you ain't getting nothing. It's just, you know, yeah, they were only like $5, but that's $10 right there in wasted highlighter that I'm not putting on my face, I'm not putting on my eyes, I'm not putting on my body. Yeah, that silver is pretty. Maybe I want to do it as eyeshadow. I don't know. But silver is just not a color that's conducive to my skin tone and making me look all kinds of ethereal and ka-cha-cha-cha-cha. Last on the highlighter front that I shouldn't have bought, I feel like there are probably more highlighters that I shouldn't have bought. If I have enough products to make a version 2 of this, I will do that. Well, because you all know your girl loves highlighter. That is probably my favorite thing. Besides, like the ranking is skincare, highlighter. And so once again, that coupled with the whole need to buy highlighter, and then that all with like the need to have entire ranges and collections, as well as the collectorism in me, the ColourPop Disney Villain Super Shock Highlighter. Now, if I had known that these were their like liquid cream powder whatever, I probably wouldn't have bought them. So you have the fact that I bought a bunch that just were not for my skin tone. In the summertime though, oh my God. Okay, this may have been something that I shouldn't have bought, but I may be working extra hard in the summertime to make that work for me, because that is ka-cha-cha-cha-cha. And that's the Maleficent one, and then we got the Hades one right here. These are smooth. These are buttery. I know they've got you gotta try a little different, and you gotta use a little funky. You can't just go on in with a brush and make them work. But I just shouldn't have bought them. I shouldn't have bought the whole range, because that comes into the whole, like, you're buying colors that don't work for you, so what's the point in having them in your collection if you're not actually applying them to your face? And the whole, collectorism, whatever, that argument only goes so long. I'm trying to get out of that. I'm trying not to be like, well, I bought it because it's a collectible. It's a collector's. No, it's makeup. And if you ain't going to use it, there's no point in buying it. And then you have that coupled with the fact that these are a formula that I can't apply the normal way that I apply highlighter. It's just like, why did you buy these if you knew? I didn't understand that they were the Super Shock whatever, so I can claim ignorance a little bit there. But I have not used these on my face since purchasing them, and that's a problem. They're still all nice and smooth, and I'm getting all kinds of feels from that one. Can you see that? So I'm gonna have to look up a couple videos on how to use the highlighter, the ColourPop highlighter formula and stuff like that, but looking back on it, I definitely shouldn't have bought this, and products I regret buying, I definitely shouldn't have bought the eyeshadow palette from this collection. That's been decluttered. But I might be able to make these work. I might be able to do a little something. Obviously, stay tuned for that. Okay, then some more, I shouldn't have bought it, and this hair, meh. This is kind of like the realization that Too Faced, little spoiler alert, these Too Faced palettes. Too Faced is not one of those brands that has an eyeshadow formula that I'm tripping over myself to purchase. I'm out here with Midas Cosmetics, I'm out here with Jeffree Star, I'm out here with ABH, when they do it right. Cosmetics and all that jazz, but Too Faced, now these are not bad palettes. I'm just gonna stay that right up. I know I reviewed these. I did the whole Tutti Frutti collection when it came out. These are not bad quality. If you're thinking about Too Faced quality, these are actually pretty good. I love This one smells divine. I absolutely love this purple shade here, this shade right here. And I love the look that I did when I came out with this. The problem with these palettes, though, is they're kind of one-trick ponies. And then we have the pineapple one here, which is definitely neutral. Although I do love the gold and this like greeny whateverness. I need to pull these into a makeup rotation to at least use those colors. But once again, this falls under the whole situation of if I knew now, if I knew then what I knew now, these are something that I would have been like, okay, you're really drawn to the blush. Blush is something you love. I love those blushes, y'all know that. But if I had really thought about it, I would have known not to purchase these because Too Faced, I don't reach for 99.9%. I've got like 1.5 Too Faced palettes that I actually reach for and enjoy. Whereas the rest just sit there because I spent my money on them and they got really cute, shimmy, shiny packaging. The product inside is just not something that blows me away. Isn't anything that really brings a lot of intricacy. I'm trying to say intricate. Doesn't bring a lot of whatever to my collection. Doesn't give me a lot of bang considering the other stuff that I've got. And so I'm sure I got sucked up in the whole, oh well it's tutti frutti and it's pretty and I can't tell you how many things I've justified buying because oh it's gonna be a review and I'm trying so hard not to do that and be like, well, I have to buy it because it's going to be a review, even though it's something that I honestly shouldn't purchase because it, you know, like I said, I'm using it as an excuse so I can buy something rather than actually sitting back and thinking about, okay, if it's, you know, I'm going to get a review, but is it going to be something that I'm actually going to be using in my collection? In the case of these, no. Then the definite case of I shouldn't have bought it. This is something that I found at Marshall's and I feel like 90% of the makeup I bought at Marshall's is I shouldn't have bought it because I feel you get caught up in the moment of like, oh, it's $10. This is a product that's usually 30 bucks. It's such a great deal. I'm saving so much money, but you're not saving any money because you're buying it. And you would have saved money if you took that money that you had been, you know, used on buying these totally random products, then taking it to actual Sephora Ulta and buying something you really wanted, rather than just impulse buying crap like the Becca Soft Light Blushing Blurring Powder in Pink Haze. I mean, y'all, you could probably use this shiz as a blush. I bought it because I was on a real big loose powder kick. I was like, I need to try all the loose powders from all the brands, and I think this was like $8. Now, the only reason I haven't decluttered this is when I'm doing my Fairy K or my Kawaii looks or my Marie Antoinette, this does give a very soft and subtle pink diffused look, which I love for those kind of more editorial looks. But for me and my pastiness for an everyday powder, this no. I can't remember what, I was doing a look kind of more like this where I wouldn't have used pink, and then I was like, I'm gonna set my under eyes with this pink powder, and it was very obviously pink. So while I have found a use for this, it's just kind of like you should have just not bought it because I don't know, you were in the moment, you were thinking, oh, it's such a great deal, I want to try it out, you know. And while I'm glad that I figured a use out of it, my collection, my makeup, whatever, wouldn't be any worse for wear if I didn't have this in my collection. Basically, if I'd left it there, I wouldn't miss it. This hasn't changed up my game so much that I'm like, you are worth the space that you take up in my collection. I love you so much, you little ice cube. That's just not happening with this product. Then, last but not least, definitely, probably another epitome of I shouldn't have bought it. This is a perfect example of, well, I really wouldn't, you know, it's not necessarily a color story. It's not necessarily something that I'd be traditionally drawn towards, but I need to review it. And to a certain degree, I do like reviewing things that aren't necessarily my vibe because I know a lot of y'all really enjoy and appreciate my reviews, so I want to give y'all that content. But if we're going from just a what Soraya should buy for what Soraya uses, these two palettes were a definite should have left at home. We have the ABHM Resi palette, which Some of the shades I love. Candy, Steb, I love Mandala right here. I love Bear. I despise the glittery chunky shades in here, which unfortunately you get like 3 of them. Then the big ol' Resi one, which I feel like this one is a bit more viable, although you do get 2 chunky, nasty glitters. Anastasia, I need you to stop putting glitters in your palette. Stop trying to make it a thing. But you know, Resi's real nice. Anastasia is super pretty. You know, I like the mattes provided, even though that one's kind of, you know, throwaway shade. But if you think about what I own in, you know, palettes, and you even think about the other Anastasia palettes that I have, these are just something that would obviously, even in the color story department, would just fall short considering what I have in my collection. Now, I reviewed these. Y'all were very thankful and grateful and whatever, and it helped you make your decision, and that's great. But taking into consideration the makeup that I like to do and the makeup that I own, these were literally, not literally, I use them every once in a while because I have them. But they're kind of throwaway purchases. You know, it's just kind of like, okay, I got them, I reviewed them, and now they sit there because I have an issue. I need to break myself of the habit of buying Anastasia palettes just because they're Anastasia palettes. Anastasia and Melt Cosmetics have kind of replaced the whole like KVD. Whenever they came out with something, I'd be like, I need to buy it. Now it's more like Anastasia and Melt. When they come out with something, I lose all reason. I'm like, I gotta buy it. But looking past the review, these are both definitely palettes that I should not have purchased just for personal whatever. I was kind of gonna include the Jackie Aina one, but I've actually used the Jackie Aina one a fair amount after reviewing it. It's got some beautiful standout shades, and even with the palette on its own, you can create some beautiful, sultry, dramatic looks. So that one is definitely more viable to my aesthetic, whereas these two are kind of basic white girl palettes. And I hope that in the continuance of this year, maybe I can break myself out of that whole I need to purchase every Anastasia palette that comes out. I have been reviewing Anastasia palettes for a long time on my channel, and I know those reviews do fairly well because they're a really popular brand and their eyeshadow palettes are really popular, so it's a very good, viable review. But I mean, I do need to take into more consideration about what I have in my collection and what I'm actually gonna use. Like this here up on my lids is the Melt Cosmetics Rust palette, which is a more neutral palette. And when you compare it to these, I know for a fact I'm gonna use this one, whereas these ones are just really a big case of not so much. Alright, I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Let me know down below not only what you thought about these products that I talked about, but let me know if you would like to see a part 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,000, because I've definitely got stuff in my collection that aren't products that I regret buying, but looking back on them and thinking about if I'd been thinking more clearly back then or as I am now, they're definitely things that you're just like, you know, you probably shouldn't have bought that. So obviously let me know that down below, as well as a product that you think and you look in your collection, you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have bought that either. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!